Shalom Aleichem, Na'aleh viewers. Welcome to another shiur in Maseches Brachos. We're continuing in the Sugya on Daf Yudal Amud Aleph. In the second parak, Gemara has a discussion concerning the permissibility of interrupting the recitation of Hallel in order to greet another individual. And the Gemara quotes that Rabbi Paskin, the Gemara says right before the two dots, in the middle of Daf Yudal Amud Aleph, the Gemara states, Amar Rabbi, Yomim Shayachid Goymer Bo Enes Hallel, that on days that there's an obligation for an individual to recite a complete Hallel, Bein Perek LePerek Paisik, between the chapters of Hallel, a person is permitted to interrupt and greet another individual. Be'emtza perek, in the middle of the paragraph, Einoi Paisik, you're not allowed to interrupt. V'yomim she'eina yochid goymer b'anes hallel, but on days that an individual does not recite a complete Hallel, afilu be'emtza perek Paisik, you're permitted to interrupt even in the middle of a paragraph to greet another individual. The Gemara asks, Eini, is that halacha really true? V'harav bar shva iklo legabe de Ravina. An episode, an incident happened that Rav bar shva came to visit Ravina. V'yomim she'en hayochid goymer enes hallel hava, and it was on one of those days that we do not recite a complete Hallel, like Rosh Chodesh or Chol Hamoed Pesach. Let's assume Rosh Chodesh. And Ravina did not interrupt the recitation of Hallel to greet Rav bar shva. So the Gemara answers, Shiny Rav bar shva the loichoshev alei de Ravina. Rav bar shva was different. He wasn't considered in Ravina's eyes an Adam chashuv that it was appropriate to interrupt the Kriyas HaHallel to greet him. But Einachanami, technically speaking, there's a difference between days that we recite a complete Hallel, Yomim Sha'ayachid Goymer Bo Enes Hallel. There you're only permitted to interrupt Bein Perek LePerek. But on Yomim She'ein Hayochid Goymer Enes Hallel, you can interrupt even Be'emtza Perek. Tosfos raises a discussion. What does the term Yomim She'hayochid Goymer Bo Enes Hallel mean? Does it mean that there are days that an individual, just one person, is chayiv to recite Hallel, but on Rosh Chodesh, one person by himself is not required to recite Hallel, but a tzibur is? Is that the mashmos? So Tosfos says that that's not the pshat in Yomim she'yochid goymer bohen and Yomim she'ein yochid goymer bohen. But rather Tosfos says anything less than all of Klal Yisrael together is called a yochid. Even a tzibur, even a group of 10 individuals, a minyan, in terms of this halacha, is considered a yachid, that they're not obligated to recite a complete Hallel on Rosh Chodesh and on Chol Hamoed Pesach. But on the other 18 days in Eretz Yisrael of Yom Tiv, or 21 days in Chutz La'aretz, they're required, a tzibur is required to recite a complete Hallel. And this we discussed in the earlier shiurim, that it's implied from Tosfos that were you to have all of Klal Yisrael together, maybe in the Mikdash, a din of, if there would be a mitzias of all of Klal Yisrael together, or maybe in the Mikdash, Klal Yisrael gathered in the Mikdash has a halachic status of a kinuf yodekol Yisrael, of a gathering of all of Klal Yisrael, then there's a halacha even on Rosh Chodesh to recite a complete Hallel. That's the mashmos of Tosfos, and it's meduyik, it's also implied like that from the language of the Ramban in Sefer HaMitzvos, as Rav Soloveitchik pointed out, and he showed it to his father, and Moshe Soloveitchik, who agreed with him, that the language of the Ramban indicates that there's a miut of simcha b'gvulin, the Ramban says. There's an exclusion that outside of the Beis HaMikdash there is no din of simcha on Rosh Chodesh, but in the Beis HaMikdash there is a din simcha on Rosh Chodesh. And since the Ramban Shita is that the requirement to say a Hallel Sholem is a din in simcha, it applies to Yomim Tovim and applies to Rosh Chodesh, therefore as well because it's connected to the din of Simcha, which we learn from the pasuk, "Utikatem b'chatzoritzois al leiseichem v'al shalmeichem v'al zivchei shalmeichem." So we learn out from that pasuk that there's a din Simcha even on Rosh Chodesh. Now Tosfos raises another question, which we'll pick up now from the middle of the Tosfos. Approximately from where the lines of Tosfos begin to become narrow, approximately 8 lines down, Tosfos says, "Avalato mashma afilu kairin loy." V'chein mashma b'perek basu the time